So how did that translate into, because for those of us who've been, you understand it, but how did that translate into the people you recruited and attracted and trained to serve those who were walking in the door?
Well, it changed a lot over time. I always like to talk about SoulCycle in kind of 3 different phases, and I think this is relevant to every business. There's your, you're founding your startup phase, and then there's your kind of middle explosive growth phase, and then at scale. And so our hiring changed a lot. In the early days of SoulCycle, the best way to get a job at SoulCycle was to be a babysitter for either Julie or Elizabeth. That was the bottom line. We had a limited number of opportunities, and the thing about that was, there's more to it than just saying, hey, you're in the know. It's, if you're a person who can care for a child and build a deep relationship with somebody at home, then you are definitely capable of sitting behind a front desk and greeting someone with love. Being with a child and being effective is about listening, and it's about empathy, and it's about being present. And those were some very important characteristics of the people that we hired initially. We made massive investments in establishing our values, in onboarding and training that existed throughout the scaling of the business. Our first employee, who ultimately became our chief culture officer, was personally responsible. She traveled around to the first 50 studios that opened and trained every single one of almost 2,600 people who came through the door. One person. And it was because she had a foundational understanding of the brand, kind of squeezed Julie and Elizabeth's brains, put it into legal pads, and then made modules out of it, and just spent a tremendous amount of time. And then, listen, as you grow, the way you hire, I think early days you hire for culture primarily, and then as you get a little bit larger, you have to start looking at experience. But I think what we always tried to do was understand what our values were about. We were about hiring people who were passionate, who had empathy, who showed that they understood people, who could listen, and a variety of other things that were kind of coded into what we looked for. And we found people who were skilled, and then also looked through that lens. And that was kind of the ultimate filter where we decided how to hire.
So skilled, but had to meet that culture standard at all times.
Absolutely. I mean,
and you're talking about everything from front desk to instructors to whoever might be in the business.
Absolutely. I think that you learn the most at SoulCycle being in our studios. We are all about operating and being in the field. And so every single person that comes into SoulCycle, from the C-level on down to the cleaning staff, has to work behind the front desk for 3 weeks. There is no ego about that. We hired so many engineers and developers who felt so lost behind the front desk. But it was a beautiful part of the learning experience for them, because as they're designing elements of our site or our app or other technologies that could benefit our business, without having been behind the front desk and understanding the flow and the spirit of the space, I think they would have been at a real deficit in trying to help us. And that's true across the board of all businesses. It's also like a little bit of an ego play. You think you're a hotshot engineer or a marketer, and you walk behind the front desk and you're literally spraying shoes for your first 3 weeks. It's a good way to kind of let people know that we all start here. We all roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty. This is just one of the values of the business.